This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
Tom, I'm feeling tired.
Tired?
Didn't get enough sleep last night.
What were you? Were you up scared? Scared of the dark again?
No, I'm not. I'm a little afraid of the dark.
Right.
I can get
just
myself...
in your own home, just in your own bedroom.
I can get myself worked up about being afraid of the dark.
I can now. Yeah, you know what?
If I think about all the things that could be there in the dark.
Well, that's what. So a few, I guess maybe now like a month ago, I went. Me and Laura had our moms meet for the first time, and
did they get along?
They got along famously. But it was also because we were going to do like a menu tasting for the wedding at like the venue. So we rented an Airbnb.
You send out the save the dates yet?
Yeah. You did. Did you get one?
I was going to do a whole bit about how I didn't, I wasn't invited, but I didn't telegraph it. You're right.
Because instead I was just like, oh, you didn't get one?
Sorry.
Save it. To be clear, Tim,
save the date and maybe
save the date. That's on you.
Yeah,
that's not a guarantee of an invite,
right?
But clear your calendar, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Now, do you kind of judge like who saved the date? Like, do you try to catch a like? Are you gonna like come over one day and like I'm gonna catch you like
look at the calendar,
flipping a few months forward in the calendar, and be like,
no, I don't see anything circled here with a big red letter with a big
dentist
red
appointment.
What is this? Well, I hope they have a good cancellation policy. No, but the reason I'm bringing this up is just that we were staying in this like 200-year-old like Dutch farmhouse type area.
Oh, the Dutch.
An
I know
Airbnb.
how you feel about the Dutch.
Don't get me started on the Dutch. But at like 3:00 in the morning, I had to take Ginger out. Usually she doesn't have to go out late at night.
Ginger's a dog.
Ginger's a dog. Usually she doesn't have to go out late at night ever, but she was having like stomach trouble. So I had to like take her out. And then I think I went back downstairs to get a glass of water later.
There's so much detail.
I know.
To this story.
I'm painting a picture.
Stomach trouble. Yeah. Okay.
But the lights are all off. Complete. And this is like I said, like a creepy old house, like a 200-year-old house. Very low ceilings and everything. And all I'm thinking as I'm going down the stairs is, what would be the scariest thing in the world to see? And that's so as I'm like around the corner, I'm like, would it be a guy with a knife or would it be a gray alien? Would it be an apparition? Would that be scarier? Like, what if it was a guy with a knife, but he also had like his face was all messed up?
What if it was Bob from Twin Peaks?
What
I
if
think
it was
about that in my bed because like that one shot in season 1 where he's at the foot of the bed climbing. I think about like I wake up in the middle of the night, get a glass of water, do whatever I need to do, and it's like, okay, normal adult man gonna go back to sleep. Wouldn't it be weird if I was afraid of the dark? What would be a scary thing to be afraid of? Bob from Twin Peaks crawling right there at the foot of my bed while my wife and I lie in it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then
Tim, our imaginations are too active for us. That's the problem. So yeah, even though I made fun of you for being afraid of the dark, Tim, it can happen to even the toughest
It's not
men.
like it's not an all the time thing.
Right.
Turn off the lights right now. Tom, turn off the lights.
No.
I'll glow.
You'll glow.
Yeah, to the extreme. I rock the mic like a mandel.
Oh, I see. It was a setup.
It was a setup. It was a Robert Van Winkle setup.
But yeah.
How are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Tim, I was thinking about something this week.
All right.
I'd like your honest opinion. Would you think it was cool?
Oh, I think I already know the answer to this. The way this is being
if I got like really good at doing an impression of Curly from the Three Stooges.
Yeah, of course.
Now you realize if I was very good at it, I'd do it probably all the time.
I love Curly from the Three Stooges.
Yeah,
Curly Howard.
Yeah, but I'd probably like do it at inappropriate. I'd be, we'd be at like a funeral together or something.
Tom,
I've
never been at a funeral with you. You're well on your way, Tom. What if you got really good?
I was thinking about maybe putting some concerted effort into.
I think Tom, at this point, like this is, I say this a lot, right? Like, regrets. I have regrets, and I think everybody our age should have regrets that we didn't spend our younger years
learning like how to do Curly impressions.
Yeah,
better.
or just like mastering something.
Yeah.
So the ability to master something at this, like it would be genuinely impressive, no matter what it is. Let alone a Curly impression.
Yeah, all right. Well,
impeccable Curly impression.
Stay tuned. I want what?
I just like that you pulled up your notes app and read that out of your notes app. Like this
I wrote it down to make sure I knew.
This wasn't something that just occurred to you at this moment.
I was thinking about it the other day that I was thinking about I'd like to get really good at like all the hand stuff that he does, like the snapping and all the like mouth noises and stuff.
What about the Curly shuffle?
I'd like to get good. Tim, eventually I'd like it to be basically indistinguishable between me and Curly.
I used to do the Curly shuffle in junior high.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty good at it. So that's the thing, right? Where you lie on the ground and you kind of like walk around in circles.
Yeah.
That's a Curly shuffle.
Yeah, and Homer did it.
Yeah, that's how I knew it.
Yeah. And now was everybody like, whoa, cool.
Yeah, actually.
All right, well, it was popular then. It's surely popular now.
Yeah.
Tim, well, speaking of comedy, we're talking about a famous comedian tonight.
Yeah, maybe the most famous comedian. I don't know.
Certainly up there.
Yeah, he's performed comedy on television
multiple times.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld.
And on the silver screen.
Yeah. A handful of times on the silver screen.
I mean, in that documentary.
What do you mean in that documentary?
Comedian.
Oh, yeah.
That was a movie.
Right.
He performed stand-up in it.
Yeah. But I'm saying that was one movie.
Yeah, but I said he performed on the silver screen.
Yeah, and I said a handful of times.
Okay, well, by my count, that's
he's
one.
Not Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
Who is Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise is.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about him. He's in the news because he's been doing a heck of a lot of press.
This is the most, like, he didn't do like press blitzes like this when he was on Seinfeld, like for the sitcom, right?
No,
he would do like Leno and Letterman, and like that's it, right? Maybe Howard Stern.
Well,
talk about his 17-year-old girlfriend while Howard Stern like elbowed him in the ribs and be like, yeah.
Well, we'll get to.
I know. I can't believe it came up that early.
I'm surprised it took that long. I'm surprised when I asked you, would you think I was cool if you didn't say if you dated a 17-year-old high school student and you met in Central Park? But anyway, he's been doing a lot of press for this Unfrosted movie on Netflix, and yeah, to your point, like the Seinfeld show. I don't think anyone in sitcoms like had to really do press back then.
No, you would do the late night circuit.
Yeah, or you would do the late night like of your network maybe.
Yes.
But like I'm thinking about like Seinfeld and like Friends. It's like, yeah, I don't remember Jennifer Aniston being she was everywhere because she was Jennifer Aniston.
She was America's it girl.
But she was usually promoting like a movie she made over hiatus.
Yeah.
Not Friends.
You know what? Jennifer Aniston, Jen Aniston, friend of mine. She made the best movies of the Friends during the Friends
run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was in Office Space.
She's in Office Space. She's in that movie, The Good Girl. Like she was trying to do like interesting stuff instead of like Joey Tribbiani going off and making that monkey playing baseball movie.
I mean, he did go and make a movie that his character from the TV show would go make. Was it Ed?
Yeah.
Ed, the baseball playing monkey. And he wasn't, what was he, a catcher?
Nah, I think he played first base. I don't know. I'm looking back, like I'm shocked I didn't see that film in the theater. Like, well,
you like baseball? You like monkeys in movies?
Yeah, I like Joey. What's his name? Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah, Matt LeBlanc.
Frenchman, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. He's a big actor in France.
Friends was a crossover hit for him. Everyone in Friends was like, yes, you finally understand.
Yeah. He only does art house stuff over there, but this was just for a paycheck.
Or what if they hate him? He's like, it's like a reverse Jerry Lewis situation.
Oh,
like the French are like, the Americans, they love Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah, we love Jerry Lewis. We got them, and they got Matt LeBlanc from us.
Hey, good trade as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jerry's been doing all this Unfrosted publicity, and I know you feel this way too. I want to go on record as saying I saw Unfrosted. I thought it was funny.
It's getting panned.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, I think it's one of the best comedies of the last decade.
Really? You're going that? Yeah,
like,
you know
think
what?
About,
honestly,
like, what comedy movies
there haven't been that many to
are
begin
even
with.
getting made, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There are a few times I laughed out loud. The whole thing is fun. It never drags. It never get like. And I understand why critics are like, "This is dumb," but like,
it's a very stupid movie. It's intentionally being stupid and silly, and it's. I mean, I was saying to you that I feel like we've kind of got to learn after Seinfeld, like what was Jerry's contribution and what was Larry David's. Because Larry David went and made Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is very Seinfeld-esque.
Right.
And then we saw, what Jerry's gone on to make, which isn't, I mean, he's done a lot of like comedy, quote unquote stuff, like about comedy, about the art of comedy. But I'm just thinking like B-movie and this Unfrosted, that like he's a sillier guy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, he's responsible for some of the sillier elements of Seinfeld.
Yeah, and this is I think the paradox, or not even the paradox, it's the bummer about Jerry Seinfeld, because in interviews and stuff, and when he's talking about stand-up or like his life philosophy, he comes off as such a know-it-all blowhard because he's so opinionated, but like it's all in service of like all he wants to do is be silly, but he has all these like high-minded ideas about the right way to be silly,
right?
Which like if we didn't know about that, like we watched Seinfeld and it was great. Like we saw him, maybe grace the cover of People magazine with a 17-year-old girlfriend, but like that's the extent of like his non like art persona that we saw, right? And then like if it was just like we saw Seinfeld,
well, I think the thing is, so many people were so impressed with Seinfeld because so many of episodes of Seinfeld almost felt like a magic trick when they would like come together. So I think people were very interested in like the nuts and bolts of like, how do you do that? How do you come up with these like zany characters and these plot lines that all wind up intersecting at some point? And so maybe it's just he got used to talking about all that stuff, and then he's like, they probably have the same questions about B-movies.
No, I just think like he's positioned himself, or he fancies himself as the authority on like, this is what comedy is, and this is what comedians need to do.
This is what's funny. This is what's not funny.
Yeah, and it's like civilians can't understand this stuff, but like you spend hours and hours and hours talking about it. Same way, like, look, he makes good things. Like I'll watch comedians in cars drinking coffee all day.
Getting coffee.
It's fine. Like he gets funny people on, they have funny conversations. Sometimes people are doing their act and like pretend like that's not the case. Yeah, whatever. But then like he talks about it like it's not just like the same as every like podcast out there where a comedian interviews their comedian friends. And then like I went and I didn't go and see, I went to a website and saw a video of him like speaking at an event, like some where he broke down like the editing of like, so he's like, let me show you like a 5-minute clip me talking to Ray Romano.
Mm-hmm.
It was and he's like, now watch once. Everybody thinks like, oh, everything's so easy. No, a lot of editing went into that. And it's like edited down into like a 2.5 minute clip where it's a tighter conversation. And he's just like, see, that's the genius of the show. And it's like, what, that you have an editor on it and that you edit it like everything is like, I don't think Jerry Seinfeld understands that like he didn't come up with everything.
Right.
Like he's good at executing it.
I haven't watched comedians in car getting coffee and thought it was in real time and gone like, how they eat their breakfast so fast? I didn't even really see them take any bites or chew. Well, Tim, let's go back. Let's start.
Tom, hold on. Pro Jerry Seinfeld or anti Jerry Seinfeld?
I'm very pro. I think the stuff he makes. I loved Seinfeld. Still love Seinfeld. And like I said, I haven't seen B Movie. I don't think, or at least not in a long time. And I liked Unfrosted a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of his stand-up. Like, I like his stand. Like, I think his stand-up's funny, but I think he, again, gives himself, like, too much credit for being, a pioneer.
He's up there thinking it's a little too clever, where it's like, I get it. But, like, I just want to say for the record, very pro Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, I don't know. Pro the stuff he's made that I like.
Yeah.
Like, I like the Seinfeld TV show, and I like Unfrosted, and I think he's, like, a talented stand-up, if it's not my cup of tea, though, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, everybody wants to go out. We're out. Now what do we do? We're out. Oh, it's like, oh, I guess I should have been in the whole time. I didn't, that kind of stuff where it's like, hey, it's wordplay, but like not really. It's like, why do people do that? It's like, here's why people do this.
Yeah, there's definitely an element, though, I think, of like
the doctor always wants to take your blood pressure. What's that about? Why is the blood? What does this guy have? It's like he takes your blood pressure because it's an indicator of if you're healthy or not.
Yeah, I think there's
answers to a lot of his rhetorical questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of his rhetorical. Maybe it's maybe it hasn't survived the internet age of like all these. Hey, what's the deal with that? Because now you can just Google and find out what the deal with things are. But I think his earlier stand up definitely had a charm of like, there's a lot of stuff we don't really ask about.
Yeah.
But to your point, I like the stuff he's made a lot. He seems like a more and more like odious
personality wise, and like
as he gets richer and older, he seems to get shittier all the time.
Yeah, and he probably was shitty this whole time.
Right.
But like, look, this is why we shouldn't have
people older than 50.
No, I don't think that's true, Tom. Time moves alarmingly fast.
Tim, I thought this was gonna be your platform to suggest some kind of Logan's Run-esque world we start living in.
No, I think we should. Is that what Logan's Run is about?
Yeah, it's like everybody when you're like 25, they kill you or something. 20, maybe even.
Logan runs away from that.
Presumably, or maybe he's running for office on that platform.
Oh, I see.
Hey, what's the deal with Logan's Run?
Nobody knows, but that's the thing. Like, he's just like, nobody knows. It's like, no, Jerry, you just haven't seen the movie.
Go watch the movie, Jerry.
People who have seen the movie can tell you what the deal is. This is why I think we should go back to like all we know about celebrities is like a tight 8-minute interview on late night television, and then just like
Tim,
then we watch your sitcom.
I
don't
talked
know.
a whole hour last week about a celebrity who's just like that.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Dua Lipa. Tom, you got assailed in the Discord about Dua Lipa.
Well, no, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, everybody said it was cool, and I was cool.
They were just like, they were like, you didn't know what you were talking about when it came to music and Dua Lipa.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what she's all about.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. No,
you're not supposed to know anything about music or Dua Lipa. You're just supposed to enjoy it.
One thing we can agree on in Jerry Seinfeld, He's a weird guy. He's just a weirdo.
Yeah, and I think he's done a very good job hiding how weird he is over the years.
Yeah. You know what? He's equivalent in my mind to a Billy Joel, where it's like,
yes.
Yeah, I like your music, and like some of it I really don't care for, the same way that like a lot of Jerry Seinfeld's comedy I don't really care for. But like I respect the craft a lot, and you seem like a weirdo, but like that's kind of entertaining sometimes, but also like I don't know if like I'd ever want to like meet you or talk to you. Right?
Well, I mean, you know why that probably is, Tim, why he reminds you, because he's also a Long Island guy, Jerry Seinfeld. He's from Massapequa.
And I just want to say, Jerry Seinfeld made a speech on stage at Billy Joel's 100th like sellout at Madison Square Garden, and that was he played the show. Jerry Seinfeld came out and was like they lowered a banner in Madison Square Garden commemorating or whatever, and like and I saw a speech. I saw somebody on their phone like posted it to Instagram, like his speech, and then they broadcast that concert on CBS a few days later.
a couple weeks later. Because they like cut it off and people were mad.
Yeah, but like it was edited. Like they played like you know they took a 3-hour concert and made it like 90 minutes or whatever.
Now, did Jerry explain how they do that?
I think he was the mastermind behind it.
Hey, you know, you should just play the whole thing. Nah, I know this guy. He can make it shorter.
But he came out and he was like, Billy Joel, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Like, made a speech. And he's like, all right, so you've achieved it. You can die now. And then like walked off the stage and like a weird way to end it. They showed the whole speech on CBS, but cut off the part where he said, you can die now.
Yeah, because that's...
I think he meant to say like, you've achieved it all. You can die a happy man knowing. But like, he just said, you can die now.
A weird guy. And also like, you know, one of the reasons why I think we both find him odious is that in recent years he's just got this like real weird hang up about like woke culture and PC correctness in stand-up, and it's strange for a multitude of reasons, but I think the biggest one is probably that like he's not a target of anybody's like PC police.
Right.
He famously doesn't curse in his act, right? Like,
no, I don't believe so.
Yeah.
He's probably if you were here, he'd probably have a theory like, I curse in one joke.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Like in the right audience, like if I'm going to curse, like I save it for one joke and it's perfectly placed because it's like it comes as a surprise and you don't expect it. And
yeah, like he's never billed himself as like a clean comedian,
right?
But yeah, he's never, except for dating a 17-year-old, he's never really been in anybody's crosshairs for like, you know, cancellation type stuff over.
Tell that to my aunt.
Why? Is she trying to get him canceled over his material?
Well, kind of. Did you read his book?
Sign language?
Sign language?
No.
SEIN language.
Although,
you know,
for this, I was reading about it. Yeah, go ahead.
At the peak of Seinfeld's popularity, it's like, give him a book deal. And like what he did was just transcribe his stand-up act. And like I think he like even like promoting it was like, this is just my stand-up act. I wrote it down because they wanted me to write a book. Like he's honest in that way.
Yeah.
Whatever, I got it because I was I loved Seinfeld. And I was like, oh, this is great. And I think it came out, I was probably like 12 or 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like each, you know, it was like broken down into chapters, like thematically, right? And one was like the chapter was like,
I owned a similar book called I Don't Want to Go Off on a Rant Here by Dennis Miller. That was a collection of his rants from late night television.
Did you really?
Yes.
You guys seem like a Dennis Miller house in the 90s before he went crazy.
Yeah, before Dennis Miller went crazy.
Yeah.
My dad liked the show. Yeah. We would watch Dennis Miller live.
Yeah.
Occasionally on
Yeah.
I think
Everybody
like Friday
wants
nights.
to rule the world.
Yeah.
Playing pool in the beginning. It's very cool.
Yeah.
That's all I know about that show. So I'm reading this book, and there's a chapter like relationships, and like each like bit had like its own, subhead, and one of them it said like the sex, right? Because it was like it's like the date, the dinner, the sex. And I was reading that part, and I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah, under the
and
blankets,
my aunt and uncle were over. No, I was just like sitting.
There we go.
And like my aunt, I heard her say to my mom, "Are you aware your son is reading a book? The chapter he's reading right now is called The Sex." It was like, cool, yeah. I mean, it's 1994. I was 12 years old. Like, but like, so she was trying to get him canceled in my house.
What's the deal with sex? What goes where? When? How?
We know all this, Jerry. Have you never had sex before?
God, I have a lot of notes here. I like kind of don't know where to start with Jerry Seinfeld. I have a lot of like, because I mean, I feel like his career's pretty, I don't know, pretty like well-worn territory. You know what I mean?
He was on the Seinfeld show.
Yeah, he's on the Seinfeld show. He kind of blew up. He's one of these guys, Tim, that, did well on Carson, did well on Johnny.
Yeah, hey.
And that really turned things around for him.
Johnny Carson was a bad guy, right? Everyone wants to say he's a good guy. Mm-hmm. What did he do to that poor Joan Rivers?
Yeah, I keep. We were talking before the show. We're both big fans of Hacks, and they're kind of doing a storyline in the vein of Joan Rivers getting denied the talk show. And I forget what it was. Just basically that Joan Rivers took a Fox late night show. And Johnny Carson like was furious about that
and like never spoke to her again.
Yeah,
and like cut her off and like
I was reading something.
Showbiz people.
Well, I was reading something recently about how Johnny Carson famously never talked to guests before or after the show, and that there was an interview with Orson Welles. Who said like Johnny Carson knocked on his dressing room door and like came in to say hi before the show, and that like Johnny's staff were like shocked, even though it's like, well, it's Orson Welles, that's normal.
Orson's such a weird name.
That's normal to knock on a friend's door before they come on the show. And go, hey, how you doing? Can I?
Wow, Curly and Johnny.
Can I get you anything to drink? So just like you said, just a very weird guy. Weird, wild guy. Celebrities, who needs them?
I'm increasing, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
This started recent or like within the past year or so, where like I can't really watch scripted things and take it seriously.
Yeah, because you don't think they're you.
I think it's just silly that I'm like,
you can't suspend your disbelief.
I can suspend my but
you just
feel like
watch things thinking that's an actor reading lines.
Yeah, I feel like
lines.
I feel like it's stupid to suspend your disbelief. Just like I'm kind of like, why am I doing this? I'm spending my limited time here on Earth, like watching people pretend to do things, and like I love TV and I love movies, and this stinks that like this is a thought that I have, but like it's increasingly. I think I'm just have to become a sports guy.
Is that why like some people are just real that they just can't? But that's not true because sports guys also watch other stuff.
I know, but I think I'm going to have to become exclusively a sports guy.
Exclusively a sports guy?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. We were talking about live TV and how like when they air stuff live, it's just better.
Yeah.
Even though, to Jerry Seinfeld's chagrin, you can't then edit a conversation down to 2 minutes. But I don't know. Yeah, there's just something about it. Something about the electricity.
Yeah.
The fact that in our current society, there's no sense of community.
Yeah. I wonder what Jerry Seinfeld would have to say about that.
About what?
The lack of sense of community.
He'd probably like to know what the deal is. You'd probably be like, poor people never had a community. They've always been stupid. Tim, did you know I have some Seinfeld trivia for you?
Oh, okay. Is this a quiz?
No, it's just going to be like, did you know this? It's a true or false.
Okay. And they're all true.
To be honest, they are.
You didn't come up with any false.
No,
Okay.
I didn't come up with. I mean, that would just seem like a waste of time.
I agree.
If I was like, oh, did you know Jerry Seinfeld's middle name is Evan?
Yeah.
Be like, it might be. Who knows? But that name,
It's Alan.
There's a reason why I mentioned that name, which I'll bring up in a second. Seinfeld was renamed from the Seinfeld Chronicles to avoid confusion with the short-lived teen sitcom The Marshall Chronicles.
I vaguely remember the Marshall Chronicles.
I don't. And I don't remember Seinfeld being called the Seinfeld Chronicles. I've seen the old, because when it went into syndication, they re-edited it.
Mm-hmm.
So at the first season, and even I think in reruns on like the second season, they re-edited it, the title sequence and everything.
It wasn't the Seinfeld Chronicles for more than like an episode.
Oh, maybe it was just the pilot episode.
Yeah.
Did you know this? I was surprised by this, that Jerry Seinfeld is the only actor who appears in every episode of Seinfeld from the main cast.
I did know that.
Yeah.
Let's game this out, Tom. Kramer does not appear. Let's see if I can do this.
Okay.
Kramer does not appear in the Chinese restaurant.
Yes.
George and Kramer do not appear in, what is it, The Pen?
Yes.
Where Jerry and Elaine go down to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And Elaine does not appear. She goes out on, Julia Louis-Dreyfus goes out on maternity leave at some point.
Nope.
Well, no. Like, they're like...
no. Okay.
No, like, she's... So... There is an episode or two that she's not in. I remember The Return because she was in Europe with her boyfriend. But what episode was she gone for?
No, I think she still appeared because she did not appear in the pilot, which was a 2-part episode. So
yes,
2 episodes.
You're right.
Yeah.
They had that waitress. They had a sassy waitress at the time.
Oh, yeah. That was like their female friend.
Yeah.
So I was also reading about how Jerry Seinfeld, his first role was actually in Benson, the TV sitcom. He played a mailman, a mailman who I think was like trying to be a comedian. That was like the shtick, that it was like nobody ever wanted to hear his jokes, but he was always doing them.
That's good.
Yeah. He was fired from Benson over creative differences. However, he did not know this until he showed up for a table read and there was no script for him.
Harsh.
Which, it sounds like it really stuck stuck in his craw because, he mentioned it, that he wasn't happy about that. But then listen to this. Going back to Seinfeld, The Pen is the only episode not to feature Jason Alexander as George Costanza. Alexander threatened to quit the show after discovering at the table read that he was not featured in the episode. Come on, Jerry. I mean, that was season 3. So they were far along.
I did appreciate that about the show where this is where I think Seinfeld was, the show was a little different where it's they're like, there's no way that it would make sense to have George in this episode,
so
the story,
not.
And it's I know, he'll still get paid,
right?
But
I mean, it is one episode out of what, 100 and something,
60 something,
yeah. But that also makes me think is there some legal loophole there that they were exploiting of if he's not in every episode, then he can't.
No, it really was creative.
Yeah.
And they cited that as a turning point where every episode after that, you'll notice that like that's when it really started that every character has their own distinct
plot line going on.
Which like wasn't the case for the first couple of seasons.
And then became the trademark of the show, more or less.
Like, so what you were saying when like Seinfeld episodes are like magic tricks?
Yeah.
Like I think they only really hit on that with the marine biologist episode when they realized like they could tie everything together.
Yeah.
And then like I think
and I remember too, like watching that when it aired.
Yeah.
And for people that aren't big Seinfeld fans or
get out of here,
or maybe don't remember this, it's that there's a plot line earlier about George shooting golf balls, Kramer hitting golf balls into the ocean, and George lying to a new girlfriend that he was a marine biologist. And then walking along the beach with this new girlfriend, there's a beach whale. And he reaches into the blowhole and pulls out a golf ball. And Kramer says, hole in one. And the freeze frame, the episode ends. I remember when that aired, my entire family, like, couldn't breathe. We were laughing so hard.
Gave that, like, everybody in their homes gave it a standing ovation.
Yeah. And it was like brilliant delivery by Michael Richards. And
is that a title list? That is,
right. Yeah. Is that a title list? Oh, hole in one. I think that then they were like, okay, that's what we need to chase. That's the
but I think that was overstated. Like, I think that's like, because like that became Larry David's shtick.
Yeah,
which
Curb.
Which
sometimes it was very forced.
Yeah, and it's like I know how they like. I see the elements that you're introducing here, and you do this every time. Like not every single
the cards up your sleeve.
Yeah, not every single episode of Seinfeld had like that. Like they all come together in a novel and surprising way. Like they intersect in ways that like, but like not like that puts a button on it. Like I think that was an element of Seinfeld, not the defining aspect of Seinfeld.
But I think that was the element that for a lot of people elevated it into like, oh, there's something special about this sitcom.
Right. Well, I mean, there's that, and like, I think the contest came before that, right?
Mm-hmm. Where they all decided not to masturbate.
Yeah, and that doesn't have some sort of like amazing confluence of that, and like, I think like there are a lot of like, so you have the marine biologist, which is like, hey, that's where all the storylines come together, and then you have like the contest where it's like, oh, this is just like a novel. Like they went somewhere and like they didn't make it dirty and like blah, blah.
Right.
And then you also have the Chinese restaurant episode where like that was also groundbreaking because it was like
it all takes place in this lobby.
And I think there's like all these elements that are like, you can't distill that show down to one thing. Like it was innovative in a number of ways.
They were doing interesting stuff.
Yeah. And like, each of those things became templates moving forward.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you just shift gears here a little bit? Do you think Jerry Seinfeld's a real Superman fan?
Yeah.
I don't think he is.
No.
Well, so
he's a real serial fan. We know that.
Yeah. I looked into it in and I think because he famously like Superman appears in every episode of Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, but that's
it's
like,
on his fridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he frequently
Did you know a refrigerator appears in every episode of Seinfeld?
But he frequently brings up Superman on the show too.
I mean, that could be his character too, you know?
Right. But I found, I was curious about, because then remember he did the American Express commercials with Superman. Well, an animated Superman, but I
voiced by David Puddy himself.
Yeah, but I like looked it up because I was curious. I was like, is it like does he have thoughts about Death of Superman?
Oh, wow! Hey,
you know,
how many copies of that does he have?
Right, because he was rich. Was he like, just give me my salary and
Death of Superman.
Sealed Death of Superman. I'll be rich forever. And maybe that's true. Maybe that is how he's so rich. No, but I just thought, like, does he like read the comics? Does he know about like, you know, newer lore to Superman and everything? And also I feel like it's like, well, if you're Superman, like Superman interacts with a lot of other characters. So there are going to be like other characters you like or whatever. But I looked up to see if he's ever talked about it. And I was like, oh, this is why he likes Superman. He doesn't know anything about Superman other than this. And this is why he likes him. In 1995 interview in Entertainment Weekly, Jerry said, he's the ultimate superhero. You can't beat him. Nobody can. He's the best. And I think it's just like, oh, this guy's the
dominant thing.
This guy's the strongest, and he's got the, the best sense of judgment and morals. And Jerry was just like, yeah, great. Yeah, him. Okay.
But then why would he feel the need to choose any superhero to?
I'm just saying.
What is the end game of him pretending to like Superman?
He said he appreciates Superman's sense of justice and his ability to do good without expecting anything in return, which is cool. Those are good reasons to like Superman, but
why do you like Batman?
It's cool.
Oh, that's fair.
And to be fair, I like Superman because he's cool too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think he was probably a fan of Superman as a kid. And I think it's much like we saw in Unfrosted, that it's like, I think he's a fan of the iconography. Yeah. He's like a fan of that more than he is like the character itself.
That's cool. He's a psychopath.
Unfrosted was like a love letter to corporate America. That's why I saw some people criticize it as.
Yeah, I think people got the wrong idea about it. I think if they made up the specific references are the funny and entertaining part of it, right? Like,
yeah.
You know what I hate in movies where they had to come up with like fake brands and like build a whole world of like, oh no, like Kevin Smith, like there's no McDonald's, the movies is and it's like,
nah, it's my favorite.
I don't think like Jerry Seinfeld was like, oh, from what I understand, like that was not actually like signed off on by Kellogg's and Post.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like made under like parody laws and like or like parody defenses or whatever. Yeah. And they were just like everyone's like, oh, Kellogg's... this is just SpawnCon or this is a long Super Bowl commercial. And it's like, no, I don't think like they would have let him do that.
Yeah, because they
why
would have
Post allow that?
Yeah, they would want control over it.
Yeah,
and also they don't have however many hundreds of millions of dollars he got paid to do that. And
like I don't know, it's a love letter to corporate America in as much as like us talking about McDonald's all the time, right?
Yeah,
like,
we don't go there very often at all.
But like, it's also like I don't know. It's because it's what we know. It's the references we know. Yeah,
yeah.
He's writing about what he knows.
Yeah,
what
that's what they say, right? What do you know?
Yeah.
Hold
on, can I ask you something? Here's a real trivia question.
Sure.
Do you know the potentially surprising comedian that opened Jerry Seinfeld's eyes to comedy and made him want to be a stand-up comedian?
Bill Cosby?
Nope.
Who?
Andy Kaufman.
Oh, really?
Andy Kaufman. Yeah, he went and he's like, I heard about this guy that was doing weird shit on stage in New York City. So like, I took the train in from Belmore or wherever he lived, Yeah. And it's just like, and I went and saw that, and this guy changed my life. I was like, this is mind-blowing, and I can do this stuff. The joy that he's bringing people. And it's just really weird. And like, I think that also probably feeds in a little bit to
like his silliness.
And also his interest and devotion to transcendental meditation.
Oh, was Andy Kaufman a big TM guy? I have that in my notes too. That's one element of Jerry Seinfeld that I've always found, I don't know, like incongruous. Is that the word?
Yeah.
That he's a big transcendental meditation guy, and I'm not a big one, but I do it as well. But like he always, and that was actually like one of the things that convinced me that I was like, I should look into this. Like David Lynch and Jerry Seinfeld swear by this. Because he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be into anything along those lines whatsoever.
Can I tell you something that I learned on this recent press tour with him that might demystify this a little bit? So somebody was, I think it was Neil Brennan, was asking him like, hey, like with the spiritual side of it. He's like, what are you talking about spirit? He's like, like the TM stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, well, let me explain what transcendental, like that's not spiritual. That's nothing. Like not. All it is to me is if I told you that you could feel like you took a 4-hour nap, and you could just do it in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then you could like be more productive for the rest of the day. Would you do it? And he's like, yeah, I guess. He's like, that's all meditation is for me.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like a very quick nap and I use it so I don't feel tired anymore. He's like, it gives me energy. That's it. It's like a hyper. And so it's like, and he's like literally just like, I do it so I can work more on comedy.
Well, that element doesn't really surprise me. Because, like, yeah, it's not a spiritual thing, but it surprises me that he's like a advocate of it, like that he speaks about it. Just because he just always struck me as the kind of guy that, like, if he finds something good, he's like, I'll keep that to myself. I don't need to. Like, he's like he doesn't necessarily seem to like go out on a limb for things that he doesn't feel strongly about.
I don't know. Like, is he a big advocate for it, or does he just say that
he's like tied? Like, he does fundraisers and stuff for them. That's what I mean. For like the David Lynch Foundation, which is closely connected to that.
Yeah.
Tim, what else do I have for you? I mentioned earlier because I said maybe his middle name's Evan, and that popped into my head because he is second cousins with Evan Seinfeld, the original bassist from Biohazard. Also a guy that I met a bunch of times working at the Apple Store when he was married to a famous pornographic actress named I think Tara Patrick. He was like the most tatted up dude, and actually at that time he was in Oz, like he was like
the wizard.
The prison.
Oh man,
yeah.
And he got out to go to the Apple Store sometimes.
Well, no, Tim, he was an actor on the show. But he would come to the Apple Store. But there was like another guy who was like a big Biohazard fan, and I think an even bigger porn fan. So he was the guy who was always like, "I'll take care of Evan. Don't worry about it." But he seemed like a very nice guy. And that's Jerry Seinfeld's second cousin, Evan Seinfeld.
Whenever it is like, so-and-so, I don't care.
Second cousin's something. Like,
can you name one second cousin of yours?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, actually, I can name a bunch of second cousins of mine.
Oh, really? I can't name one.
You can name 2 second cousins of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like we went to school with second cousins of mine.
Yeah.
And then I met a bunch of second cousins in Ireland.
I still hold a grudge against your second cousins.
Okay. I don't like.
I didn't like them. They didn't like me.
I mean, in fairness, like these are, so a second cousin, these are my a parent's cousin. In this case, is my mom's cousins. Kids. That's your then second cousins.
Right.
They were never at any like events or anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's fine.
And you should want to distance yourself from these
I'm
two
pretty
guys.
distant from them.
Right. You're sitting here bragging about them.
I'm not bragging about them. I mean, they seem, from what I hear nowadays, they seem like nice guys.
Oh, they're nice now?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what they did to you before, but all right. Yeah, second cousins are all right, Tim.
I think they're all right. Like, anybody is potentially all right. Not your second cousins. They're not good people.
What about Jerry Seinfeld's second cousin, the bassist from Biohazard?
I mean, he's tatted up.
Yeah. I was also reading about it. I was like looking at a lot of Jerry Seinfeld's post Seinfeld work. And like, it's very weird. He's done I think 3 sets of commercials. So he did the American Express commercials with Superman, which it's like...
That was like right after Seinfeld, right?
And I'm sure, I mean, it's American Express. I'm sure they paid him a fortune. They said, yeah, we'll animate Superman next to you. That's going to cost a fortune.
I mean... animate like there was a TV show every afternoon that they put on that had
I'm just saying, like I'm sure they paid him a lot of money, and they were like, and you can do something cool. So
yeah,
like,
and it was like Super Bowl commercials and stuff. Like,
I forgot about that. He did a ad campaign for Windows Vista.
Yes,
that got like yanked off the air very quickly, but it seemed like just because Vista wasn't well received or the commercials, once I looked them up, I was like, oh, I remember these. And like, they were fine. They were funny. Like they were like kind of documentary style. Like it wasn't Jerry Seinfeld in front of a screen going like, let me tell you about Windows Vista.
Right. Like when Chandler and Rachel
did the Windows 95.
To Windows 95. Yeah.
Right. And that, I mean, you should look that up if you're interested. I'm sure it's on YouTube. Like that is like, it's amazing. Because that was a video. That wasn't just a commercial. That was a videotape.
Tom, I told you Jennifer Aniston picked the best movies while she was on Friends.
But it's just like the two of them teaching each other Windows 95.
Yeah.
Which was like really the first Windows that like started leaning into the internet. So they have to be like, well, what's the internet?
Yeah, well, the two of them were on Friends, the hottest TV show.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, it's on NBC Thursday nights at 8. I'm not sure if it's still on, but I think they made a lot of money off the first few seasons of Friends. I mean, not as much as they did on later seasons.
Right.
But can you imagine how much they made for showing up at that soundstage and reading that much? Microsoft must have paid them like $30 million each, right? Like...
Well, I know, like along these lines, the "I'm a Mac and I'm a PC" commercials in Britain, they did them with David Mitchell and Robert Webb from Peep Show, and I remember reading from one of them that they were like, "Oh, those like we both made more money off a season of Peep Show, like a lot more money, just from doing a day worth, a week worth of commercials in a soundstage." Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure they got paid
for
a
Microsoft
ton.
to be like, we're going to get the 2 breakout stars of like the biggest phenomenon right now.
Well, and remember they licensed Start Me Up, and it was like some insane amount of money for that. Like, they were just
the Buddy Holly video on your.
I mean, they were just it was peak monopoly Microsoft that was just throwing money around like crazy. But then the other thing is that I did not know about. In Australia, Seinfeld appeared on a series of advertisements for Greater Building Society, a building society based in New South Wales and southeastern.
What is a building society?
So I watched the ads. It's like a bank, really. It's a bank ad.
Okay.
But I thought this was interesting.
He likes money.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of. Is that where he keeps his billions of dollars?
I keep it in Australia. But I thought this was funny. His appearance in these ads was highly publicized, considered a coup for the society. The society being this bank, not all of society. Being the 3rd time Seinfeld had appeared in TV commercials. The advertisements were filmed in Cedarhurst, Long Island, with the street designed to emulate Beaumont Street in Hamilton, where Greater's head offices are located. I watch these commercials. No, it looks like Cedarhurst, New York. They park the cars on the other side of the street. That's as far as they went in making these look like. And
they blew all their money on getting Seinfeld.
Well, I have to imagine.
And he was not traveling for that.
I have to imagine that they like came to him with some insane offer, and he told his agent, like, tell him if I can shoot him in Cedarhurst, I'll do it. And they came back and they were like, that's fine.
I don't even think it was, I'll do it in Cedarhurst. I think it was like, I need this much money.
Yeah.
I want to be there for no more than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And the total time spent in my car cannot be more than 35 minutes. There and back. So they were like triangulating everything and sent out location scouts to like, what can we make to look like this fucking town in Australia?
I don't know. I mean,
and they didn't do it, but it was
No.
like, well, he's not going to do the commercial if he has to like. Certainly not if he's going to fly anywhere, especially Australia. But like,
oh yeah. And these commercials,
maybe walking distance from his mansion.
I watched 2 or 3 of them, and I didn't completely get the concept. It's basically just him doing stand up outside an ATM machine on the street, and people are walking down the street, like you see other shops and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know, maybe.
Did you see Cedarhurst paper in the background?
I didn't, but I was like, maybe Hamilton, Australia looks a lot like Cedarhurst, but this just looks, they did not like really change anything. Like I said, except for the cars. That was the only thing I noticed.
Okay. Nowadays, they'd just put them in one of those Mandalorian things.
Yeah, they would just put him in a Mandalorian thing. But the material he's doing in the commercial, he's just doing stand-up. It's the same stuff as that he said he was telling us for his last time in that special where he said he was doing a bunch of material for the last time.
He's still doing that.
I know. He's full of shit. That's what I'm saying.
He did. Tom, sorry. I just looked up Cedarhurst to see exactly where it was on Long Island.
Yeah.
And
is there a statue?
No, there's not a statue.
Okay.
But there is a, how businesses come up on Google Maps? Central Perk Cafe comes up.
Wow.
So, this
Cedarhurst is an NBC town.
Yes, it's a must-see TV haven.
Tim, what do you think about Jerry Seinfeld saying Friends ripped off Seinfeld? They just, stole the concept, essentially.
I think Seinfeld changed the game, and they took elements from...
Yeah, they were just like, oh, this is the
I think,
way sitcoms are now.
If you're going to say that Friends did it, you can say that every single sitcom in the 90s that came after Seinfeld did it.
Yeah, and I would say more people tried to rip off Friends than rip off Seinfeld.
Yeah, because the people... I say the people are more attractive, but Elaine...
Elaine's the only attractive one.
What are you talking about, George? Jason Alexander's a good-looking man.
He dated a lot of very attractive women on that show.
Yeah.
So, there must have been something to it. No, that's the thing.
I'm pro Jason Alexander. I like him.
Of course, but I don't think I have to sit here and say, yeah, he's as good-looking as Joey Tribbiani.
He's as good-looking as Ross.
No, I think Ross is good looking.
He wears those turtlenecks.
He's got an awful personality, but I think he's a good looking guy.
That was, you know what? This was the fatal flaw of Friends, Tom, and I know this isn't about Friends, but they're trying to make the Ross and Rachel thing an underlying thing, and then they also make Ross the dumbest, worst character.
Yeah, the least. He's easily the least likable character out of all of them. Because he's the sad sack,
but also mean streak.
Yeah.
Jealous and hey. Fuck Ross, right?
Well, and I'm just
Ross Geller.
I'm just realizing that Ross was also the one that had the most defined career because he was a paleontologist. Whereas everybody else was basically figuring stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So or trying to be an actor like Joey. I wonder if that factored into it, that Ross just kind of saw everybody else as very childish.
Maybe, but
for not having everything figured out yet. He was already divorced with a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Ross. You know what? I like Ross.
Tim, I was reading about this. I did not know this. We talked a little bit about his having a teenage girlfriend.
Yeah, but he was only 38.
He was only 38, so it was fine. And that but his current wife, I did not know was married when they met. They met in 98.
That's not his fault.
No, honestly, when I
That's just bad timing.
When I first read it, I was like, oh man, this is scandalous stuff. But then I read more about this woman's ex-husband. I was like, oh, this guy stinks.
Yeah, it was not like Jerry Seinfeld. It's Her. I want her. Bring me her and
yeah. Well, it sounds like he was
hypnotize her.
He had flirted with her at the gym. She was a PR executive at Tommy Hilfiger. She had just returned from a 3-week honeymoon in Italy with her then husband.
Yeah, that was the thing that always struck me, that like she was just married.
I mean, that's what I was going to say, that like, yeah, it sounds like this was all a bad idea, the marriage in the first place, but literally it was, she had just gotten back from a 3-week honeymoon. You would think that she would be over the moon about her new husband. But again, it sounds like her new husband, Eric Niederlander, a theatrical producer and scion of a theater owning family. So also a very rich guy.
Right.
And when I Googled him, like a bunch of other articles came up about that. And one was from like 10 years ago, and it was like theatrical bad boy. And I was like, oh boy. Yeah. Oh, it's just a rich kid who sucks. Okay. I get it. Unaware of Sklar's marital status, Seinfeld invited her out. When Sklar eventually told Seinfeld about, what do you mean eventually? She said, I told her, I don't think this is the right time for me to be involved in anybody. 2 months later, Sklar was filed for divorce and continued dating Seinfeld. And they got married like about a year later.
To hear Jerry Seinfeld talk about, like, his whole thing is like, comedians are like aliens. We don't really understand how people live. Yeah. And so, like, he's like, I'd see people getting married, and I'd be like, oh, that's nice for them, but, like, I don't know, like, that's not the life of a comedian. And, like, he thinks of, like, comedian, it's like a different species or whatever.
That's why I've got to marry a teenager.
But then he was just like, and then a couple years after the show ended, I had some time on my hands, and I thought, like, maybe I'll try this. So I found a lady, and I married her, and I liked it. Well, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that I definitely got the vibe of like, okay, so this woman's like a PR executive for Hilfiger. Again, her first husband sounded awful, but it also sounded like you had very clear inklings he was awful, which is why it fell apart so quickly after you got married. But like, you still got married. I mean, on one hand, I was thinking like, man, what a like fairy tale to be like, I got married, it was a mistake, and now look, a big rich guy wants to sweep me off my feet. Great, but she was already with a rich guy that had swept.
I mean, it's not just about money, Tom.
It is for me, Tim.
I know.
I'm just looking for a rich man to sweep me off my feet.
You like the show?
Yeah. Before you get to the perks, I'm not finished making my point. I'm just saying that I think, like, whatever Jerry was after, it sounds like this. You're saying he was weird for being like, oh, let me see how this marriage thing works. It sounds like this woman's also like kind of weird of just like, let me try marrying this rich guy. Oh, he's a jerk. Let me try marrying a different rich guy. Oh, okay, this guy's all right. This seems to be working out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's fine. They seem happy.
All's fair in love and war.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, she writes that cookbook about how to make put broccoli in cake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Like, as long as they're happy and they're not hurting anybody.
My mother-in-law has that cookbook. She always tries to like, hey, you should make your son a cake with broccoli in it. He won't even know. It's like, I'm not going to do that.
You should make this recipe from one of the world's most famous cooks, Seinfeld's wife.
Hey, she's as qualified as anybody else. I'd like to. I think I'm going to write a cookbook.
I mean, it might as well. It sounds like anybody. I mean, yeah, anybody can, which is fine, I guess, too.
Friend of the show, Christine, got me a birthday present, Tom. Mm-hmm. A Columbo cookbook.
Really? Yeah. And it's stuff Columbo would make?
Yeah, I think it's stuff that he made on the show.
Is it just like cans of beans?
She just gave it to me right before I came here. So
I was going to say, your birthday was...
It's in 2 weeks.
Oh, I thought it already happened. So
yeah, no.
I'm thinking of my birthday.
Yeah, your birthday already happened. But it's broken down by season. But like, I don't think he makes a meal in every episode.
He's not at home very often on that show.
Yeah, I don't know. Columbo cookbook. Thank you, Christine, and a cool shirt. Also, she got me.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna say that she was wearing.
No. She bought me one.
What does it say, dork?
No, it says, I saw Eddie, the dog from Frasier, catch a big wave in California, and it's got a picture of Eddie surfing. It's cool. Hey, another must-see TV gem.
Yeah. Well, if you like the show, if you want to find out more about it at tcgte.com, you can find all our links to our social media, our Discord, where, Tim mentioned you can, what'd you say happened to me? I got eviscerated.
Yeah, you got pwned.
All our social media links, our subreddit. You can follow me on social media at Tom Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, your pal Tim.
And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/complete guide. We're finishing up My Side of the Mountain this week. And then we're going to figure out this Foo Fighters thing.
Tom, people are clamoring for it.
People are not everybody, but enough people that we're going to figure out. We're going to figure out a way to do it so that everybody wins.
Everybody wins, especially us.
Probably not.
Patreon.com/complete guide for Books the Podcast. It's another whole episode every week.
Yeah.
And it's not some we're phoning it.
You can get stuff early and ad free.
And we record them right after we record this. So we've had a couple drinks. They're longer than these episodes sometimes.
We say we say more curse words.
Yeah. Tom says the C word a lot.
To open up the show usually. Jerry Seinfeld's, not Jerry Seinfeld, the Jessica Seinfeld's ex-mother-in-law was not happy when all this happened. And she was quoted as saying, Jessica, like Monica Lewinsky, became starstruck. I like that. And this, she is a psychologist and marriage counselor, and also from like this rich theater family. So take that with what you will.
I will take that with what I will. Tom, final thoughts on Jerry Seinfeld. Which of his stand-up bits is your favorite?
Well, I was going to say, too, that I do appreciate him for being the one white guy on Talking Funny with comedians Chris Rock, Louis C.K., and Ricky Gervais, being the one white guy on that panel that did not feel like it was all right for any of the other white comedians to say the N-word during their stuff.
That's the woke culture that he decries nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, and it is like, it's very cringy, but it's Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais laughing it up about how like it's okay for them to do it. And Jerry Seinfeld, to his credit, is just being like, no, it's not. And like not elaborating further, not getting into semantics, just not being like, well, it's not for me. It's just like, no.
Like looking off to the stage manager being like, end the segment, please.
Yeah. That whole thing, I don't think that's on like HBO Max or anything. But,
no, no, of course not.
Boy, I remember watching that and thinking like, yikes. It's at least half of these people that should not be speaking very freely about what they think. And
there's also, I think Ricky Gervais was like the guy who put it all together, right?
Yeah.
But like,
by far the worst stand-up out of
and like
all of them.
least established out of
by
all of them,
far
right?
like decades less experience. And then gave his thoughts on stand-up, and like every time
everybody else was like, nah, that's not really right.
Yeah, he's like, well, I just think it's like you get up and you make some funny noises, whatever makes people laugh. And they're all like, what? No, that's not what stand-up is. I think you have somebody else write your special and you get up and you say those words, and that's what it is.
I think there's too much talk about stand-up, the art and craft of stand-up.
Yeah.
To ostensibly the audience, the normies, right? There's too much like everything's got this meta.
Yeah.
Like if you read through Reddit about like the stand-up, like about like I don't know why.
Well, a good stand-up, you keep people wanting more.
But like everybody is like, there's this whole like thing, like they're not just like, did I like this?
Yeah.
Did this make me laugh? They're evaluating it on like
they're scoring it.
Yeah, the same way that like politics
an
has become
Olympics
this
performance.
But like politics has become this too, where like it's no longer like, hey, is this guy speaking to my concerns or this person speaking to my concerns? I will vote for them. It's all about like, well, what's the gamesmanship of like what audiences they're talking to? And it's like, why don't like nobody is content just being the audience for something. Wow. And I think that we should not like have all this discourse into like comedians' thought processes or whatever. We should just hear their acts and be like, I like it or I don't like it.
And now, do you think this is because of the woke mind virus?
I think it's the woke mind virus.
Yeah. Jerry's right.
Yeah, that's why.
I also feel like somebody needs to ask him more about like give some specific examples. I think he might be like thinking of other things.
Yeah, I don't think he quite understands it.
Yeah. I mean, and in fairness, he's a 70-year-old billionaire. He's out of touch. Yeah. If he wasn't out of touch, then he's not doing it right.
Hey, these pretzels are making me thirsty. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.